Kansas has several ties to the Native American community, even getting its name from the Kansas tribe, also known as the Kaw. KSNT's Raina Garcia tells us about the Kaw's time in northeast Kansas and the painful events that drove them out.
The Kaw Nation currently resides here in Kaw City, Oklahoma, but their history ties back to Kansas. And while their time in the Sunflower State put them at the brink of extinction, they managed to persevere while also mending some of the traumas of the past. Each summer, members of the Kaw Nation, also known as the Kanza people, make their way to Council Grove for Washunga Days. It's an annual festival celebrating Kaw heritage and culture. While coming back to their former homeland is a time for celebration, it's also about reflecting on their past.
It's not a sugar-coated story. There are some bad things in this story, but they want their story told because it's important to them.
They once occupied around 20 million acres that spanned across the Midwest. But in the early 1800s, it rapidly began to shrink.
William Clark of Lewis and Clark fame summons the chiefs to St. Louis from this area, and Chief White Plume agrees to sell 18 million acres of land to the federal government.
After selling more land, they had nowhere to live. They moved to a reservation in present-day Council Grove in 1848. European settlers were also moving into the same area.
The Kanza are run out of this area. It takes quite a bit of time, but eventually the Kanza are told, you're not welcome. You know, they want them gone. They want the land.
There were 1,600 Kaw when they first settled in Council Grove. But because of disease and starvation, only 600 people remained in 1873. When they relocated to their current home of Oklahoma. Those who were left had to restart.
I think the people at that time were just anxious that those that were remaining could stay together. They started, some people started farming, some people leased their land out.
And many Kaw were just trying to survive. Pauline Sharp is the granddaughter of the tribe's first female chief. She now lives in Wichita, where her home is full of tribal history and memories of stories from Kaw elders.
It was a horrible time for the tribe. There was typhoid and malnutrition and even starvation.
At the turn of the century, the death of their chief Washunga left them without a leader for over a decade, until a new leader emerged. In 1922, Sharp's grandmother, Lucy Eads, was elected as the new chief. After decades of struggling, Chief Lucy, as she was known, wanted to take the tribe in a new direction.
They needed a leader to help them with business and to deal with the government. And because she was educated, spoke English, was a business owner, and an heir of Washunga, they elected her chief.
She went to Washington to defend the tribe's rights to land and resources like gas and oil, earning respect from her tribe.
We were almost exterminated. And so to rise above that and help the people however she could, that was noteworthy.
Over a century later, there are 3,500 members of the Kaw Nation. While their home is in Oklahoma, their roots are deep in Kansas.
You can feel a calmness when you go there. You can feel the ancestors there.
From the name to the statue on top of the State House, they'll always have a place in Kansas.